Is your vehicle's manual transmission shifting a little strange, a little clunky, and not as smooth as it used to be? Well, stay tuned. I have a specific DIY that is going to help you potentially change how your manual transmission shifts for you. Good morning, automotive fanatics. It's Peter, your automotive fanatic, coming at you guys with another DIY. What we are going to accomplish today is simply doing a drain and fill on a vehicle's manual transmission. Overall, the process is very simplified, where you're finding the fill plug, the drain plug, and essentially making sure that both of them are not seized in, opening them, letting the vehicle drain its manual transmission fluid. You close it up, fill it, and you are pretty much good to go. Today's example is going to be a Porsche 911 997. Even though that is the example, the process in itself for most vehicles that has a manual transmission is going to be very similar. Before we start on the 911, I wanted to give you guys a high-level overview of the DIY itself, as it truly is very simplified. What you're going to do with your vehicle, the first thing, you want to go ahead and find the fill plug. You want to open it to make sure that you can actually get fluid back into your transmission case. So you find the fill plug, you find the drain plug, go ahead and get underneath the vehicle, make sure it's fully supported. You're going to drain your transmission fluid at that point. With manual transmissions, it is very simplified. So let all the transmission fluid drain out. You're going to go ahead and close that drain plug. Make sure that you torque it to manufacturer spec. And from there, you're going to go ahead and get some type of pumping device, and you're going to pump fluid into the fill plug. You'll go ahead and fill it up until you see fluid start coming out of the fill plug. Then you know that is where you're supposed to be. And this is the guide that many manufacturers have recommended to do, is again fill it to where you have some fluid that is coming out of the fill plug. Once that's done, you're going to go ahead and close it up. Again, torque it down to manufacturer spec, and you are finished at that point. It is that easy, guys. I did want to go ahead and add, every manufacturer is going to use a different type of manual transmission weight. So make sure that you use the proper one, and always spend the extra dollar to get the very best manual transmission fluid that you can afford. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started on this manual transmission drain and fill fluid change. We are underneath the 911, and I wanted to show you the fill plug of the transmission, which is right there, and this is going to be your drain plug. So as I had mentioned earlier, we're going to go ahead and open that one first to make sure we can fill it. Then we're going to go ahead and switch to this one here, which is the drain plug, and drain the transmission oil out. I went ahead and started to drain the fluid, and if you take a look, the fluid isn't very clear. It's a little dark and old looking, so it's a good time to actually replace it. I did want to go ahead and also add something that I would recommend that you guys remove. There is this bracket here that is tied into the transmission chassis, and there's just two 10mm bolts that you want to remove. That way you have
easy access to the fill bolt here, as this line here was in the way. So all it did was it gave me a lot of room. That way you can get your big 24 in there and torque it down later on. So it's going to take probably a good 10 minutes or so for all of this fluid to drain out, but we'll go ahead and let it drain out at this point. Here we have my little pumping device that I put fluid in. This is just essentially a 1 gallon pesticide spray bottle that I purchased from Home Depot, and it has this long tubing that essentially goes to the end of the sprayer. Here is the trigger, so you actually put the cap on here and you're going to develop some pressure, and then the fluid just comes out of here. And what I did was I essentially connected some tubing that I had left over that again connects from here. I'm going to place the end of the tubing into the filler plug. From there, we'll simply go ahead and just hit the trigger until we fill roughly 2.6 liters of the weight that we used. I'm going to show you real quick here. This is going to be the Mole Tool 75W90 manual transmission fluid that, again, we'll go ahead and put, according to the manual, 2.9 is the empty capacity of the manual transmission case. To do a flush and fill, you're looking at 2.6. So that's what we're going to go ahead and shoot for. I have the tubing inside of the filler bolt, and what we're going to go ahead and do now is we're going to go ahead and hit the trigger on the pump, and then you'll see fluid essentially go through here. Now, compared to the fluid that came out, this is vastly cleaner. I won't say it's clear, but it's almost like a honey colored fluid, whereas the other one was a very dark fluid. So this is going to be very good for your manual transmission. So we're just slowly kind of pumping it in. We'll go ahead and let that finish. And it's been about 10 minutes and fluid hasn't quite come out yet, but I'm also using a small hose, as you can see, so it does take a little bit of time. But I have estimated at this point I have probably put a good 2.6 liters of the manual transmission fluid, so we should be coming up to the point where it's starting to drain out or spickle out of the fill plug there. But I'll continue to go, and then we'll go ahead and watch it come out, and that's when you know you're at the proper level. Okay guys, so you can start seeing just a couple of drops there. I am going to go ahead and let off at this point. From my vantage point, I can see it slowly dripping out. So we are at the proper level of fluid now. I just returned from a test drive in the 911 with the owner. And what a difference changing your manual transmission fluid makes to the feel of the shifting. The owner told me specifically it didn't feel as notchy. It engaged very cleanly with no type of resistance or anything of the sort like that. And even in my specific drive part itself, I was able to notice that it definitely shifted very smoothly, very cleanly, without any type of issues whatsoever. So do I recommend that you guys change your manual transmission fluid if you don't know the last time the fluid was changed? 100%. I do recommend picking the best fluid that you can get, that you can afford, and you should have definitely crisper, notchless shifting in your manual shifting gears. As usual, my friends, thank you so much for watching another DIY. This is going to be Peter, your automotive fanatic, signing off until the very next time, my friends.